Okay, with this presentation we are going to see the different conditional sentences and the structures and different uses. Let's start by saying that a conditional sentence structure is made up of two parts: the if clause, which expresses the condition, and the main clause, in which we express the possible result. Use an example. The other of the two clauses is flexible, but it's important to keep in mind that if we start with the if clause, there must be a comma between the if sentence and the main clause, as you can see here. There are four types of conditional sentences depending on the different degrees of probability, and we use different tenses in the different structures. We've got examples here of the four types of conditionals we talked about before: zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and the third conditional structure. If you notice, in these three we've got the same conditioned study and the result. Okay, let's move on. Explain the zero conditional. In the zero conditional, we've got present tense in both sentences, in the if conditioned and in the result. We use zero conditional to talk about things which always happen in the same way, universal truth, and to talk about habits, as you can see here. The tense we use in the first conditional, or in the if clause, we use present, and in the if and then in the result we use future with will. This is the most basic structure. But with the first conditional, which we use to speak about possible or probable future events, there are other possibilities. For example, we can use imperative, right, when we want to give a command. Other possibilities are the use of present perfect, the use of different modal verbs, as you can see here. Then we've got the second conditional. In the second conditional, the structure is quite fixed. We use always past tense in the if clause, as you can see here, and would followed by the verb infinitive in the result. We use them basically to talk about present and future situations which are unlikely to happen. They refer to situations in which we need a change in the situation. If I had money, that means that I don't have any money. If I were you, but I cannot be you. It's important to keep in mind that we always use were, no matter if we are using the first and the third person singular. Okay, we always use were. Third conditional. In the third conditional, we are working with a past perfect in the if clause and would have a past participle in the result, as you can see in these two examples. We use them to speak about impossible past events, things that you cannot change because they are placed in the past. If they've gone by past, but they didn't go by past, so they will have arrived much later. He will have traveled around the world, which he didn't, if he had more money, but he didn't have any money. Keep in mind that we can exceptionally or sometimes use might or could to replace would. There is a possibility of creating mixed conditionals, combining the type 3 in the if clause and a type 2 in the main clause. And when we have past situations which affect the present, for example, if I have won the lottery, I didn't win the lottery, I would be rich, but now I'm not rich. You can see similar uses in the other examples. Then we can also make a mixed conditional the other way around, with a second conditional in the if clause and a third conditional in the main clause, in which in this structure we talk about present situation that explain something about the past. For example, if I were rich, but nowadays I'm not currently rich, I would have bought that Ferrari, but I didn't buy it. And you can see other two examples here of this mixed conditional. Other connections we can use, the basic connector is if, but we can also use unless to replace if with a negative verb. That happens mainly in first conditional, and you can see here we replace if don't by unless. We can also use whether, basically when we want to present alternatives after prepositions and before infinitives, as you can see in these three examples that I have included in the presentation. Other alternatives to if are provided that, with the condition that and as long as. You can place any of these in this structure, and all of them will be replacing if. So something similar, it's imagine, suppose, and supposing that. Even if, it's another possibility. In case, it's another possibility. And the last thing we've got to see about the alternatives to if is omitting if. That happens mainly in second and third conditionals. And what happens when you omit the if is that you invert the subject and the verb. As you can see in this example, if I were the president, I would lower taxes. Were I the president, I would lower taxes. If you had told me, had you told me. It's important to keep in mind that the Spanish for this would be de ser el presidente bajaría los impuestos, de habérmelo dicho, te habría ayudado.